Krishna, Krishna, Haribo. So welcome to my Bhagavad Gita class, and I am just going to, and short kirtan, and I'm just going to make sure I've got it live here, which I do. So cool, we're all set to go. And Krishna. So tonight's class will be on Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 48. And we'll just have a short chant to get started.
Saraswati Devo Gauravani Pracharini Evasesha Sunyavadi Askachari Satarine Shri Saraswati Devo Vani Pracharini Evasesha Sunyavadi Askachari Satarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Vyasadi Gaura Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadara Vyasadi Gaura Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Vyasadi Gaura Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Vyasadi Gaura Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Nityananda, Nityananda, Gauranga, Gauranga, Nityananda, Nityananda, Gauranga, Gauranga, Radha Krishna, Radha Krishna, Radha Krishna, Radha Krishna, Radha Krishna, Radha Krishna, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parirajaka Satar Sarashishi Mad Jagaguru Siddhaswarupananda Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parirajaka Satar Satashishi Mad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Gauda Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur's World Mission Ki Jai. Navadvita Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavanam Ki Jai. Mathuradam Ki Jai. Mayapodam Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories is Samal devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories is Samal devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories is Samal devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Amagina Timarandasya Ganagana Salakaya Chaksurun Militanyena Tajmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Statpitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dati Swa Padantekam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha. Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhi Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanan Pavenbhyo Vaishnavbhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Garadara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Maum Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shimate Siddhaswarupananda Paramahansa Niti Namine Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahansa Namine Guru Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prastayate. Before speaking, first I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, Jagakuru Siddhaswarupananda Srila Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada is the mercy manifestation of Lord Chaitanya, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, and very dear to Radha and Krishna, Radha Krishna Prastayate. And I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who are like wish-fulfilling trees, able to fulfill all the desires of the fallen living entities, and are full of compassion upon them. Namaste, Haribol, thanks for joining me as we proceed through Bhagavad Gita, the beautiful song or wonderful song or hymn, Gita, of Bhagavan, the Supreme Person full of all opulences. Bhaga meaning opulence and Van meaning full. So the wonderful song of Bhagavad Gita sung by Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra to Arjuna, his cousin brother, maternal cousin, and brother-in-law, the wife of the husband of Subhadra, Krishna's sister, and Krishna's good friend. So in the section of Bhagavad Gita that we're discussing, chapter 2, beginning with text 39, and tonight's class is on text 48, Krishna's been discussing Buddhi Yoga, or the yoga of discernment or intelligence, and which is sometimes taken by some of the acharyas to mean Bhakti Yoga, and others to mean Nishkama Kama Yoga, which means Kama Yoga, acting in Kama Yoga without attachment to the results or the fruits of one's activities. And of course this Nishkama Kama Yoga is included within Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of love, includes within it action, and performing actions without attachment, because we perform the actions for the pleasure of Shri Krishna. And also, as Krishna stated in text 47, which we studied last week, that it's like we're not the cause of the results of our action. Krishna is in control. We engage in the action without attachment to the result. As Krishna said, we're entitled to act we're entitled to act according to our dharma, and we have adhikara, the right to act, but we don't have the right to the fruits. Krishna's the one in control of the fruits, and so we should not feel that we're the cause of the results. Krishna is the cause of the results.
And we should also not be attached to not performing our duty. And of course this whole conversation is all based around Arjuna's hesitance or reluctance or his lack of desire to fight, to perform his duty. So the whole Varnashram Dharma system is based around performing one's duty. And the Varnashram Dharma system is described in the Vishnu Purana as being for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, or Lord Krishna. So the whole purpose of the Varnashram system is to please Lord Vishnu. So Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami says that in his report here tonight. It is said in the Vishnu Purana that in the Varnashram Dhamma, the whole aim is to satisfy Vishnu. So this is the whole aim of the Varnashram Dhamma system. It's for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for Lord Vishnu's pleasure. So if one is a Kshatriya, then one should fight as a Kshatriya. One should perform one's duty. Kshat means to protect. One should protect the innocent people. This is the duty of a Kshatriya. And Arjuna was not inclined to do it. He didn't want to do it. It was like, well, I don't want to do it. I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight Bhishma Dev. I don't want to fight Drona Acharya, my grandfather Bhishma, his grandsire. And he very much took the role of a father throughout the childhood of the Pandavas after the death of Maharaj Pandu. The Pandus, the five Pandavas, were under the care of Bhishma Dev, who saw to their education and training and so on, as also did Dhritarashtra. But anyway, there's a special relationship between the Pandavas, the five sons of Pandu, and Bhishma Dev, and Arjuna didn't want to fight him. And he also had a special relationship with his military teacher, Drona Acharya. So he didn't want to fight Drona Acharya. And so, Arjuna, he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to fulfill his duty. He had his obligations and responsibilities towards Maharaj Yudhisthira, his older brother, who was the rightful claimant to the throne, the rightful emperor, and to his brothers Bhima and Nakula and Sahadev, to his wife Draupadi, who'd been molested at the hands of the Duryodhana and his brothers. And so this fight was a very dharmic fight. It was a proper activity for Arjuna to perform. And so to perform this duty, this his kamini, his swadharma, is pleasing to Lord Vishnu. But Arjuna didn't want to do it. He didn't want to fulfill his duty. He didn't want to because it was going to be unpleasant. It was going to involve some unpleasant results. And he didn't want to be responsible for these results. So he didn't want to fight. And so in this section of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is discussing Nishkama Kama Yoga, it's all about basically performing your duty even though you don't want to. Nishkama. So Nishkama means to, kama, this is K-A-M-A, Nishkama means to engage in Kama Yoga, with Kama Yoga, K-A-R-M-A, to engage in Kama Yoga, which is the yoga of action, without attachment to the results, without lust. So the opposite of Nishkama Kama Yoga is Sakama Kama Yoga.
So sakama means to work out of lust, right? Out of desire to enjoy the fruits. It's not actually yoga, so it's just sakama kama, right? To engage in actions out of attachment to the results, out of lust. In other words, I want to do this for my own benefit. I'm motivated out of a desire for the fruit. And so this is the opposite of nishkama, kama yoga, where one acts out of, in a detached way, one acts to fulfill one's duty because this is pleasing to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And of course this is included within Bhakti Yoga, which is acting out of love for Krishna. So anyway, so last week we studied text 47, and this week we're up to text 48. And this is a sort of, in some ways, a surprising verse. So anyway, so it's Yogastha Kurukamani Sangam Tyaktva Dhananjaya Sidya Sidyo Samo Bhutva Samatvam Yoga Uchite Yogastha Kurukamani Sangam Tyaktva Dhananjaya Sidya Sidyo Samo Bhutva Samatvam Yoga Uchite. So Yogastha is equipoised or situated in yoga. So yoga, stha, so situated in yoga. Kuru, perform. So this is interesting, Bhagavad Gita, of course, it's the whole narrative about the conflict, or the Mahabharata, the conflict between the Kurus on one side and the Pandavas on the other side. And then this word Kuru also means perform. So it's in quite a lot of Bhagavad Gita verses. So anyway, so situated in yoga, yogastha, kuru, perform, kamani, your duties. So situated in yoga, perform your duties. Sangam, attachment, tyaktva, giving up, dhananjaya, O Arjuna. So sangam tyaktva dhananjaya, O Arjuna, give up attachment, giving up attachment. So be situated in yoga, perform your duties, and give up attachment. So these are the two things that Arjuna should give up. Well, there's two things he should give up. And siddhi, asidhya, in success and failure, sama, equipoised, bhutva, becoming. So be equipoised in success and failure. Samatvam, equanimity, yoga uchite is called. So perform your duty equipoised, O Arjuna, abandoning all attachment to success or failure. Such equanimity is called yoga. So the first para of this verse, para means a quarter verse, is significant. So yogastha kurukamani, so yogastha, being situated in yoga, perform your duties. So a couple of points here. The word yoga is in this text twice. So being thus situated in yoga, and Krishna has been talking about buddhi yoga, this yoga of discernment, or this yoga of acting without attachment to the results. And so being situated in this yoga, Arjuna, perform your duties. So, what's significantly here, Krishna is, directly telling Arjuna, perform your duty. Okay? Perform your duty. Don't not perform your duty. So Krishna, of course, he's been discussing this in different ways with Arjuna, explaining to him that there's a different distinction between the deha, the body, and the dehi, the possessor of the body, and that as Krishna said in text 39, that he's been describing Sankhya Yoga, which is the analysis of the distinction between the body and the soul. So coming at it from that point of view, that Arjuna, you're not going to kill. Bhishma and Drona, they can't be killed. So you don't need to worry about that. It can't be killed. The soul can't be slayed. The possessor of the body, the dehi, is not able to be slayed. So you don't need to worry about that. And Krishna described the characteristics of the soul in many different ways. So from a very sort of philosophical viewpoint, explaining to, or from a Sankhya point of view, or a Jnana Yoga point of view, so knowledge or analysis, explaining the distinction between the soul and the body. And so explaining to Arjuna that, you can't kill anyone. You're not going to kill anyone. They will continue to live. So you don't need to worry. And then Krishna then from text, I think 31 or 32 through to 38, then sort of describes from a very practical point of view to Arjuna about, that it's from a practical sort of material point of view, that you'll get to go to heaven, right? The doors of Swaga Dwaram, the doors of Swaga will be thrown wide open to you, and either you'll enjoy in heaven or you'll enjoy the kingdom here. So you should fight for those reasons, and also you should consider, if you don't fight, well, your opponents will make fun of you. They'll mock you. And so anyway, we discussed that at length in the different classes on those verses. So Krishna attacked it from a philosophical point of view, a Sankhya point of view, Jnana point of view, then from a very sort of practical point of view for Arjuna. And then now Krishna has been explaining to Arjuna, how one should act with detachment. We should perform our duty. You should perform your duty with detachment, without attachment to the results, and that this is pleasing. This is the proper way to act. One should act with buddhi yoga, with discernment, the yoga of discernment, and which is nishkama kama yoga, acting without attachment to the fruits. But the point is, Krishna is saying, perform your duty. You should act. You must act, even though the results are unpleasant. Even though you won't like the results, you should firstly understand you're not responsible for the results. Don't feel that you are the cause of the results. Krishna is in control. You are not the cause of the results. Your obligation, your responsibility is to perform your duty. Don't worry about the result. Perform your duty. And so in this situation here, Arjuna's on the chariot there with his head in his hands and refusing to fight. Govinda, I shall not fight. This was like the final words of Arjuna before Krishna began to speak for the first time as taking on the role of spiritual instructor. Up to that point, Arjuna had been like friends, had been friendly discussion, or discussion between brothers-in-law or cousins, friends. And then finally Arjuna kind of came to the point where he surrendered. But even after telling Krishna that I am a soul surrendered unto you, please instruct me. Sishyaste aham tvam prapanam, sarimam tvam prapanam, I am a soul surrendered unto you, please instruct me. Even after that, Arjuna still says, Govinda, I shall not fight. He's cast down his bows and arrows, I shall not fight. And so now Krishna is making it clear, Arjuna, you should fight. You should perform your duty. So it is proper to perform your duty. In the previous verse, text 47, Krishna told Arjuna, never be attached to not performing your duty. So Arjuna had this attachment to not perform his duty. And this, of course, is a situation that we may often find ourselves in, where we don't want to do what we should do. We know we should do it, but we don't want to do it. And we come up with all kinds of reasons to justify why we don't want to do it, why we shouldn't do it, why it's not the right thing to do, why I'm not going to do it. Right? And, so this Krishna is making very clear in this sequence of verses here that that's not the approach we should take. We should perform our duty. We should never be attached to not performing our duty. Performing our duty is, it's Krishna's arrangement for this material world. Of course, I've discussed this before, but in the third and fourth chapters of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that this Varna Ashrama system is established by him according to guna, or quality, and karma, or action. So according to a person's qualities and their actions, their nature, that then this is their particular Varna, and we should act according to our particular Varna and our particular ashrama. That this is important. This is Krishna's arrangement for this world. As we'll discover in chapter 3, that Krishna says that this whole world would go into chaos if Krishna didn't act according to his particular status in life. Krishna, when he's speaking Bhagavad Gita, he's a prince. And he's, fulfilling his particular duties as a prince in the Yadu dynasty. And he says, if I didn't, then, this would be bad. And, of course, a very important verse in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, text 21, Yad yada charite shrestas tat tade vetaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokas tara nivatate. So as the famous person or the prominent person acts, so others follow. Right? So people follow the example of their leaders. And of course we've seen this very much in America in recent times. But anyway, people follow the actions of their leaders. And so so for Arjuna to not perform his duty, to refuse to fight, would set a terrible example, and others would follow it. So if Arjuna didn't perform his duty, then like everyone else on the battlefield would go, well, hey, I'm not going to perform my duty either. Arjuna's not going to do what he should do. He's going to abandon his duty, his responsibilities. And so I'm also going to abandon my duties and my responsibilities. And, this would just lead to chaos in the world. And so, of course, devotees of Krishna should set examples of performing our duties, fulfilling our responsibilities. If we're in any kind of position or job or whatever, we should perform our duties to the utmost of our abilities. So I had a question the other day in Facebook Messenger where someone had messaged me. So, should we perform our occupational duties? And this particular person didn't give me any further information. So, as to why they're asking the question. And so, generally there would be some sort of difficulty, some reason why a person would ask that question. There'd be some basis for thinking that perhaps they shouldn't be performing their duty. Maybe a person's in a marriage and so the duty of the wife is to serve the husband, or the husband's duty is to protect the wife. But in certain circumstances, this may not always be the case. If there's, adultery going on, or unfaithfulness, or
or whatever, then this may change your duty, your obligations. Or if you're working for your boss and it turns out that your boss is a criminal and you didn't know this, then this would be like, oh, well, wait a minute, my duty to you is, my duty to serve you is no longer valid because you're engaged in criminal activities. So it's not a hard and fast thing. There are circumstances where, of course, perhaps we shouldn't perform our duty, but this shouldn't be done whimsically. And so anyway, so this particular person asked me a question, didn't give me the background. So anyway, so I explained that in almost all circumstances one should perform their duty, but there may be situations where you shouldn't. And but also, of course, as devotees of Krishna and as disciples of our Gurudev, our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, we may have occupational duties, but our service to Krishna and our spiritual master comes above that. And so that's a higher, as Krishna says, just surrender unto me, savadaman paritiyaja, mamekam saranam braja. So just surrender and abandon all varieties of dharma, occupational duties. Abandon it all and just surrender unto me. So like throughout the entire Bhagavad Gita, at many different occasions and points throughout Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is stressing the importance of fulfilling one's occupational duty, performing one's duty. And at the end of Bhagavad Gita, he says, just abandon all that, abandon your dharma, and just surrender unto me. So there's, and that's, of course, that's the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. So that's the highest point. And so we must appreciate that that is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. But at the same time, it's not like, well, we just throw out everything that Krishna has just said. We have to keep everything in context. So, of course, it's fulfilling our occupational duty, performing our dharmic activities. This is most compatible with surrendering to Krishna and serving Krishna and abandoning all varieties of dharma. It's not that these are contradictions. It's just on occasion there may be an instance where our spiritual master wants us not to perform a particular occupational duty. This may come up. Generally speaking, it won't. So anyway, so Krishna is telling Arjuna, perform your duty. Yogastha, be situated in yoga and perform your duty. And yoga in this instance is referring to Buddha yoga or Nishkama Kama yoga. So acting without attachment to the results. So then Krishna says, Sangam Tyaktva, Dhananjaya Sidya Sidyo, in success and failure, be equipoised. So there's two things here. And Krishna, he emphasizes these 2 points throughout Bhagavad Gita repeatedly. So the first one is equanimity, being equipoised, being equal in success or failure, in happiness or distress. And there are so many verses where Krishna makes this same point. I went through them, I think, in one class in chapter 2, text 14. I went through a number of these verses, and it begins with text 14, Matra Spasas Tukanteya, Sitoshna Sukha Daha. So be equal in happiness and distress. Sitoshna Sukha Daha. It's just like Sitoshna is summer and winter seasons, and Sukha Dukkha, happiness and distress. Be equal in them. They arise from sense perception. Just be equal in them. And in fact, in
in chapter 14, text 27, I think it is, Krishna describes one who is, that one should just be equal in any kind of circumstance. To view a stone or gold as the same. To not make a distinction between them. To not seek out good results. To be equal whether we get bad results or good results. And so of course, here for Arjuna, Krishna is saying, to be equipoised in success or failure. So siddhi is, success. So siddhi means like perfection. Siddha is perfect, a perfect person, perfect being. Siddha Swarupananda, the perfect form, spiritual form of bliss. Right? So here Arjuna is saying, be equipoised in success or failure. Now, of course, for Arjuna, like on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, so there's a huge difference between success and failure, right? So, he's in a battle with, millions of soldiers, and success means, in this particular battle, that you get to, firstly you get to live, right? And you don't get killed, and you get to enjoy the kingdom, right? And so this is whereas failure means death or being soundly defeated and having to, go and, be placed in prison or be tortured or whatever may happen, right? But certainly you won't be a king anymore. You won't be a prince in a flourishing kingdom. You'll be a defeated warrior, scorned by everyone, or certainly by all your opponents. So there's a huge difference between success, for a military general like Arjuna, and failure. And of course, the Kshatriya has so much pride or prestige, right? And so a successful general is held in high esteem. An unsuccessful general is, frowned upon. So there's, so this is like a life or death, great reputation or terrible reputation, enjoying of a material kingdom. And for us, we think about our success, well, maybe I'll get a good job and get to earn a bit of money, and I'll get to, have a reasonably comfortable house, or for someone who's not in that situation, they won't. I just got something in the oven. Just be 1 second. I just got to go and turn it off. Okay, sorry about that. So we're doing the bachelor thing here. So anyway, so huge difference between success and failure for Arjuna in this situation. For us, it's like, difference success and failure, generally speaking, isn't that big of a deal. But for Arjuna, it's this huge big deal. And yet Krishna is telling him to be samatvam bhutva, becoming equipoise, be equal. Sama means equal. So it's like, wow, be equal in success or failure, in happiness or distress. So this is just like, how many of us can
can say, well, I'm truly equal in happiness or distress. Like I go through some, I've been in business for running businesses and so on for like decades, and when things are going well, when the business is successful, I'm kind of like pretty chipper, right? Okay, all right, things are going well. Okay, I feel pretty good about it. And when things don't go well, when I make one of my stupid mistakes, or maybe just circumstances go against you, then it becomes like, wow, I get like kind of pretty down. Oh, this is a bit depressing, So it's like, so I'm not a very good example of being equal in happiness or distress, or it's a bit like, in our marriage relationships, right? First get married, it's like, wow, we're so in love, right? We're so happy, it's so wonderful. Everything's just chipper, you're kind of like floating in, floating down the street, you're just so in love and so happy. And, actually when you're in love, which generally speaking is usually a modified form of lust, or it's just lust. But anyway, you feel so happy. It creates all these positive reactions within the body. Like everything, hormones are firing and, whatever. I don't know the biology of it, but anyway, I read about it once. Well, it has this endorphins or something or other that just naturally make you feel happy. And, and then if your marriage isn't going well, and unfortunately in modern times, approximately half of marriages don't go well. In fact, they go so badly, they end in divorce. And it's like, like divorce is, generally speaking, so painful. It's like, generally speaking, like, anyway, you have like an example of fly paper, and fly paper is this sticky stuff, really sticky, and flies walk on it and they get stuck. They're stuck on the fly paper. And anyway, if they, their feet are stuck on the fly paper. And anyway, don't do this. But anyway, if you get the fly and you like pull it off, the legs and the guts stay there, and like this shell of the fly comes off. And that's what divorce is. It's like you get your guts ripped out. It's so painful. People go through so much pain. Right? Generally speaking, even the person there's usually a moving party in a divorce. So even the moving party in the divorce goes through it. Right? Even though they're the one driving it, they still experience this pain of having their, guts ripped out. So like, but Krishna is saying, be equal, be equipoised in success or failure, happiness or distress. So this is, and then he says, and such equanimity is called yoga. This is yoga. He says, samatvam yoga uchite. So this equanimity, this samatvam, is called yoga. So this is what yoga is. Equanimity. And of course, usually we think of yoga as meaning union, achieving union with God, with the Supreme Being. And of course, this is the full meaning of yoga. And but Krishna is describing here a different level of yoga. So there's different levels of yoga.
you know. And so this one meaning of the word yoga is equanimity, right? Being equal in happiness and distress. So this is the acting without attachment to the fruits of our activities. So this is yoga. This is actually yoga. So this equanimity, being equal, happiness and distress, success or failure. This equanimity is called yoga. So we should aspire towards that. And actually, Srila Baladeva Jabusana, in his explanation, or his commentary on this particular verse, he then says that this equanimity, it requires great concentration of mind. And of course, part of the yoga process, or the higher in Patanjali's Ashtanga yoga system, the eight limbs of yoga, Asta, 8, Anga, limb. So the 8 limbs of yoga of Patanjali's yoga system, Samadhi is the 8th stage, is deep concentration. And so this equanimity requires mental focus. And so this is yoga, this non-attachment to the results, being equal in success or failure. And ultimately, of course, this comes from acting for the pleasure of the Supreme Person. So acting for Krishna's pleasure and the pleasure of our spiritual master. So what's important in serving our spiritual master and Krishna is not the result, but it's actually the love with which we do it. Right? Krishna has no need for anything from us. We have nothing, and practically speaking, we have nothing to offer our spiritual master or Krishna. They have everything. Our spiritual master is Atmarama, completely self-satisfied. He doesn't need anything from us. Krishna is, as he says, Aham Savasya Prabhavo Mata Savam Pravatate. Everything, all the material and spiritual worlds emanate from me. Where he says Mata Parataram Nanyat in chapter 7. Everything is resting upon him like pearls are strung on a string. Krishna doesn't need anything from us. Our spiritual master doesn't need anything from us. The only thing that Krishna actually wants from us is our love. Right? We are part and parcel of Krishna. We are the expansion of Krishna, the Vivinamsa, the separated part and parcel. And Krishna wants our love. He wants us to engage in a loving relationship with him. This is the whole purpose of this material creation, where we have the opportunity to develop our love for Krishna, and Krishna has the opportunity to perform his pastimes in this material world to attract us to love him. And so that's the aim of and purpose of everything. So we don't need, so in carrying out our devotional service, our bhakti yoga practices, our engaging in service for our spiritual master, we shouldn't be so concerned about the results. It's not the result that our spiritual master wants. It's not the result that Krishna wants. What Krishna wants, what our spiritual master wants, is our love, for us to perform these activities in love. One time in Australia, Srila Prabhupada was giving a lecture in Byron Bay at the surf club. And, he gave an example of, if somebody comes and gives him $1 million, and they're offering it with not much love, they're just kind of like offering it, but perhaps they want some recognition from it.
And then somebody else is coming before Srila Prabhupada and offering them a leaf or a flower, and they're offering it with love, and so Srila Prabhupada was saying, how can you compare the two? It's not like, the $1 million is so much better than the flower, right? Because it's actually the love with which it's offered with that is important. So let us be equipoised in success or failure, happiness or distress. Let us be in yoga, in union with the Supreme. Let us serve our spiritual master with love and devotion. Hare Krishna. So I'm going to be away the next couple of Mondays. I'm going to the mainland, so for some medical treatment. So there won't be I won't be giving classes the next couple of weeks. So we can take a break from Bhagavad Gita for a little while, and so I'll put reminders in the Facebook group, so nobody. I'm sure you're probably not all sitting around wondering what's going on. But anyway, so there won't be classes for the next couple of weeks, and I'll let you know as soon as they start again. And please, in the meantime, please study Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the summary and conclusion of the entire Vedic literatures. And through studying Bhagavad Gita, reading a verse every day, this can be greatly beneficial for you. So anyway, so I'll just have a little short chant, and then that'll be it. Oh, and tomorrow night I'm giving a Yoga Kirtan Hawaii class, Soul Journey, a Spiritual Self-Discovery, and that's at 7 p.m. At Yoga Kirtan Hawaii, so you're welcome to join me for that. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Haribo. So, hopefully I'll see you tomorrow night, or perhaps on Friday night at Healing Chant 108, where we'll be discussing the Sri Shikshastika. Okay, Hare Krishna, Haribo.